has to be a little delay, there has to be a little setback before you go absolutely bonkers like you never were before at a different crazy level. And that's what is happening right now. That's what the arc is right now. This is the arc where you're set back, you gotta chill out for a little bit, and then you go crazy, crazier than ever before. So I'm just saying, mark my words on this video right now. Just wait, come back December and see what happens, because I'm telling you, as soon as this machine gets in the warehouse, we are off to the races. I promise you, I'm going crazy. I'm going working harder than I ever have before. So I've been rewarded $100,000 towards my plastic into fuel reactor from the 776 Foundation. As of late, I've been in this place, right, where I gotta get this machine moved. I had that explosion happen, right? And we all know also that obviously building a plastic into fuel reactor is pretty dangerous, and it really is not a residential thing to do, right? And I've been trying to get out of the neighborhood for years now. It's just responsible. It's a safe thing to do, not only for me, but for the safety of my neighbors. So especially after that explosion, which was the first time I've been severely injured from this project, I said no more. We're done with the neighborhoods. I'm completely out. So the machine is in the process of being moved into the first ever commercial facility away from residential places and, you know, potential residential victims. So with that, you know, it's not very straightforward, unfortunately. I thought it was going to be a lot easier than it's been going. There's been a lot of delays in getting this machine moved to a warehouse, primarily with the warehouse itself, just, you know, types of paperwork, contractual delays and such, financing delays and all this type of stuff. But it is happening. It is in the works. In fact, I'll say it like this. The initial time to get this machine moved to the warehouse, because the idea was to move Mark 4.5 to the warehouse from the get-go. I had plans to move it into a warehouse before the machine was even built. The original date was June 30th. And look at where we are now. It's August and I'm still here, right? It just keeps getting pushed back, but that's okay because, you know, things take time. It's not really in my control. But what is in my control is planning on, you know, what I'm going to do accordingly. But that's the first step. I'm not running it at the house anymore. I don't care. I don't care that I have the funding. I don't care that I have the money. I'm not going to put my neighbors at risk anymore because of my experiments. So that's the first step before anything is done. But with this funding, this is the first time I've ever had funding with this project. I've always done it up to this point completely with my own money and my own funding, right? So I got $100,000 over 2 years. That breaks down to about $12,500 every 3 months. What am I going to do with that? What is that going to look like for this project? Well, let's go and see. We know that Mark 4.5, the reactor I built that happened to be the one that was around when I got blown up. Well, we know that that reactor was not completed. So, of course, I want to complete that machine. But also, what does this entail? Well, let's take a look. Come with me. All right. So here we are. And you see here, I have this Google Docs. Finish Mark 4.5 under make it continuous. Now, we all know what continuous means, don't we? No, we don't all know what it means. So explain it, please. Continuous means that you can run a machine, right? Plastic to fuel machine. You can load plastic in while the machine is running. Up to this point, these machines have been batched. That just means that you've had to stop the whole machine and let it cool down before you could put more plastic in. Continuous means it could be loaded in while it's running. Now that, of course, is going to boost the efficiency because now you're not having to waste all that valuable heat energy to let it heat back up after you let it cool down and they put plastic in. And then that also, of course, makes the process quicker because the plastic is not having to be heated up with the machine, having to heat up all over again every time new plastic is put in. That plastic will break down quicker because the machine is already hot. So that's a great advantage. So that's essentially what a lot of this is going to be for. Of course, some of this is also for repairs. And also some of this is towards getting the machine moved in. So right now the total is at about $8,500, $8,500. Moving fees, I'm going to be moving the machine in a U-Haul truck. The biggest U-Haul truck they make. I can move the machine, the electronic cabinet, pretty much all my tools in that one truck. Going to be probably about $200-300. I'm saying 2 here. Carport. So let me tell you this something, okay? I've had a few options when it came to me moving the machine into this warehouse space. I could have it in the warehouse. I could have it outside the warehouse in a shipping container, or I could have it outside the warehouse in an open air space like a carport. I decided to carport because it's going to be the safest option. If there's a leak, at least it's out open in the air. If there's an explosion, you know, it's open in the air again, versus if it's inside, you know, that could be bad for anybody inside the warehouse, right? So we're getting way more scientific with it. And I mean, come on, that's what everything's about here, getting way more scientific. You see the outfit, you see the chair, professional office chair. You like the chair, by the way? I like this chair, by the way. This is a very nice chair. Thank you very much to my friends at KOOBIIR for this chair. Okay, this chair, they gave it to me to see if I like it, give it to me to test out. You know, I was saying I had my other chair for quite some time, and this chair is very comfortable, very high quality. Overall, the build of this chair was very simple. I did it in about 15 minutes, even without the instructions. Everything just slides together really quickly, very intuitive. The chair is heavy, though, I'll tell you. It's made of stainless steel in a lot of places, just very high quality parts all around. Got some good heft to it, but overall, very easy build, and I think anybody could do it. Just might have to get somebody else to carry it. All right, so let's check out this beautiful chair here for my friends over at KOOBIIR. And these armrests are some of the most articulate armrests I've ever seen. They just have so many different places, as you see. I mean, you make it comfortable how you want it. This chair is made of this fabric. It's very breathable. Of course, goes up and down, back and forth, but it also can slide out forward and back. You can do get a little cool with it. And it also has a really cool feature I haven't seen before in a chair. Well, this can come up and down to support you how you want. Headrest moves up and down as well, but so does this whole body, this whole midsection. You want to support your back higher, you can move it up. You want to support your back lower, you can move it down. So it has a lot of different forms of support. Very high quality chair, very high quality building materials. Would recommend, once again, thank you to my friends at KOOBIIR for this chair here. And if it's in a shipping container, imagine if what happened to me outside happened in a shipping container. I probably wouldn't be here to be talking right now. So obviously, this machine and this technology is still in a place where there could be explosions. I don't want to be in a shipping container with it. So we're doing a carport. Allen's factory here. Let's take a look at this. 20 foot by 20 foot carport. Take a look at it. So the plan is to have this carport here, 20 foot by 20 foot. I'm going to have it probably about maybe 8 foot tall. And you see it's certified up to 150 miles per hour, wind and stuff, whatever. You know, of course, got to make it green, Naturejab green. And I want to put sides on it, okay? And we're going to explain why we're going to put these sides on it in a little bit later. It'll all make sense, but we can close both the sides. You see the price, $2,500. Make sure it's green, Naturejab green, you know. And the machine can go in here. The machine will go in here. And you see it's going to be closed to the environment. Like no rain. I don't have to cover stuff up every time now. No rain can get in here. But it's open to the air. So if an explosion or a leak happens, I'm not going to bloody die. Okay? I'll survive, hopefully. Well, I'm going to have all my PPE on. So listen, guys, if an explosion happened and I got injured with PPE on, I probably am gone anyway, right, at that point. But anyways, let's just say it's open to the air. Fresh air can come in, blow out. Also, if it was a shipping container, you got to worry about ventilating it, you know, having some type of fan or some nonsense to make sure that it doesn't get too hot in there, not too much CO2 or whatever, the generator, whatever. A bunch of nonsense you have to worry about if it's a shipping container. It'd be like, you know, this is 20 foot by 20 foot. The machine is 10 foot long, so it's only going to take up half of this lengthwise. And the machine is barely wide. It's only about 5-6 foot wide. So if you include the cabinet, probably like 7 foot wide. So let's just say like this whole quadrant here is taken up. Like a whole quadrant, okay, is going to be taken up. That's the machine right there. And the cabinet, everything goes right there. I can have my tools on a different quadrant. And I could have, you know, I don't know. Then I could even do something like this. Put the machine in plexiglass or something, right? To make sure it's contained. Oh, and then the distiller can be in a separate quadrant too. Okay, next, water chiller. So when I had my explosion, my water chiller got completely destroyed from the explosion. It got crisped. It looks like me. It used to be white. Now it's black. All right. So these are the water chillers. But my water chiller that I had actually was 120 volts, which means it consumed more amps. I actually wanted 220 volts. So I'm just going to get a 220 volt one since my 120 volt one got destroyed. So it's just a water chiller, 220 volts. That's pretty much it. This helps run the condenser when the machine is running to condense the vapors that come from the plastic into oils. Next, motor speed controller. Pretty self-explanatory. This is just to control the motor, the DC motors that we have. You've seen me use this before. It has the little remote, so I can control it wirelessly. So yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. Next, tri-clamp thermometers. 2 of them. And this is, I got 2 of them. I'm gonna put one of these on the machine and one of these on the distiller. This is an analog thermometer. It's kind of good to have analog and digital things. The best of both worlds. If one fails, you have the other to back up on. I already have digital thermometers. I'm gonna have more, but I also want to have at least one analog one. This one is gonna go on the machine, on the condenser. So we know the temperature of the vapors when they're starting to form oils on the machine, the reactor itself that turns plastic into fuel. And I'm going to have another one on the reactor, or not the reactor, but the distiller, so we can know the distiller temperatures as well. Next, safety barricade. This is what I was talking about before with the carport, $1,000, 2 of them. So the carport is open on 2 sides, front and back. That's a security threat. I got to have these gates that I can lock to make sure that when I'm not there, nobody can just go up in there, hook up the machine to a trailer and drive out. This gate is going to be there, going to be completely locked every night. The machine will be, have security cameras, all types of stuff in place. People are weird. I don't feel like dealing with weird people, so I'm going to have this stuff in place to make sure. I'll even have some booby traps, maybe some shotguns that go off if somebody walks in there when I'm not there, type of stuff. DC 1.5 horsepower motor. Okay, this is the motor that I used to spin the auger blades. My last motor, once again, got crisped. Used to be blue, now it's black. I don't know what's going on. Amazon isn't working. Okay, whatever. Basically, I just got to get a new motor. And I got to get a 1 horsepower motor and a 1.5 horsepower motor. The 1.5 horsepower motor is going to be for the continuous feed blades that allow me to continuously feed the machine. And then the 1 horsepower is going to be for the actual auger blades in the machine itself. That helps spin the plastic and agitate it down. So it just looks like this. $94 for the 1/2 horsepower, $200 for the 1 horsepower. Next, I'm going to need a recovery tank. So you guys know I used to store my natural gas I make from plastic in my balls, my yoga balls, but I'm done with that. Those days are over. It's far too dangerous. And I started to compress it, right off of the machine into just some random propane tanks I found, and I actually had a very scary experience. You guys remember this tank? This happened shortly before my accident. This could have been an even worse accident. Well, this tank was an old air compressor tank I found at a scrapyard, and I started to use it to compress my stuff into. I got it up to 200 psi, and the tank started to leak. Now, this tank is really old and rusty, so, it's pretty obvious, what could happen, the risks. Nonetheless, I'm done doing that. It's too dangerous. All right, so recovery tank, as you see, there's a big 100-pound. We can get 2 of these, 3 of these, however many I need, depending on how much natural gas I make. But the recovery pump is going to send the natural gas right into this. It's going to compress. The good thing about these recovery tanks versus propane tanks is they're rated for higher PSIs. Propane tanks are rated for about 200 PSI, 300 PSI. These are rated up to 400 PSI. Now, a propane tank can go up to 400 PSI. It's not going to burst. They're thick metal. But if something is rated for 400, that's obviously better, obviously safer. Explosion-proof recovery pump. Very important. I've had my machine runs under vacuum. I have a recovery pump. It's not explosion proof. And that's a huge issue because if the seals wear in that pump, it could suck in air, mix with the flammable vapor. Not going to be a good situation. But we get an explosion proof pump, and that's not going to be a threat anymore. Very expensive. The recovery pump I have now is $500. Look at this. This thing is literally $2,000 for this one thing. But it's worth it because you're not going to have that issue anymore. I got to make sure this thing runs off of 220 electricity, actually. I hope it does. Oh, yeah, it does. We see 100 to 240 volt AC. So we want everything running off of 220 as much as possible, because 220 pulls less amps, and that includes everything. That includes all the fans that blow off the machine, all the pumps, that includes all the magnetrons, you know, every single part of the machine, all the motors, all that has to consume less than 50 amps collectively. Next, explosion-proof vacuum pump. The machine runs under vacuum. We know this. As I mentioned, I don't have the vacuum pump running when the machine is producing flammable vapors, so an explosion-proof vacuum pump isn't as important, but it's still very, very good to have. And why not have it when I can do things much safer? And also, this is good to use if I want to have my distiller under vacuum, which my distiller would have never blown up if it was under vacuum to begin with. I can use this for that. Next, okay, this is something very interesting. USB infrared pyrometer. Now, I might have said that. You might be like, what the heck is all that? Well, an infrared pyrometer. Okay, so microwaves are very, very tough, okay, to figure out their temperature. The temperature of what's heating up, because microwaves heat differently. They heat from the inside out. So it's like, how do you figure out, right? How do you figure out the temperature of what's being heated when microwaves heat from the inside out? The best and most effective way, or one of the most effective ways, is to use an infrared thermometer. And that's what this is. This is an infrared pyrometer, and this is going to let me monitor the temperatures within the reactor. See, I tell to people all the time, I'm not going to send my stuff out to get analyzed in a lab until my machine is done and it has these types of things. So we know that I know the temperature of when this stuff was made and how it was made, you know. I know the machine was operating continuously. I know what type of plastic I put in. These are the type of things I need to have consistent controls. Okay, I know the temperature of the machine consistently. I know the temperature of, you know, maybe I'm running the blades quicker or slower in the machine. I know the temperature that may change if I add plastic in the middle of it running, or if different types of plastics might have different types of temperatures. We can't guess all these different variables. You have to just have something like this to know. So I probably am going to get 2 or 3 of these. You know, the machine is pretty big. I don't know the range, how wide of an area these cover, but I'm going to have probably 2 or 3 of these. Probably 3, so I have one on each quadrant or trifecta of the machine. That brings me to the next thing, which I actually forgot to add on this list, which is a computer. I'm gonna have to get a laptop to let me read all the things. I want to make this machine completely controllable from a computer, okay? Software. I want to have software developed to where, for example, if the machine breaks vacuum, it can shut off everything. I can turn on all the magnetrons from a computer. I could be outside of the carport to do these things too. I want this for safety reasons, so I don't even have to be nearby. Vacuum transducer, what is this? Vacuum transducer. A vacuum transducer is kind of similar to the last thing we saw. Basically, this will let me see what the vacuum is of the machine digitally. So I can see the temperature on the computer, and I can see the vacuum on a computer, the vacuum level. I can see the vacuum level, and now let me also develop or implement the software to be like, okay, if the vacuum starts to break and it's about to suck in air and blow up, turn off the machine and open the valve to push nitrogen in to break the vacuum with an inert gas that will not blow up, right? So that's going to be amazing to have. And also, once again, for data collection for variables, we know, okay, when I made this much gasoline or this much oil, the machine was operating on this much of a vacuum. You know, all this stuff is amazing data collection for science. So we're getting way more scientific with it. And I mean, come on, that's what everything's about here, getting way more scientific. So the last thing on this list here, continuous operation tri-clamp parts. Now, this is just a general, I say $700. These are general things, like tri-clamp pipes and stuff. I can't really go into right now. It's a lot of, you know, when I build these things, I kind of build as I go, because you have a list and then things change. You know, you figure out, oh, I didn't need this, I needed that. Or you figure out, oh, I need something extra that didn't work out like I think it did. So I just have a general budget for basically all the parts to make this machine continuous. That includes the continuous feed auger, and everything in between, all the valves, everything in between. So like I said, all this comes out to about $8,500. If I include the computer, it might come out to probably, I should say 9,000, whatever. $9,000 to finish Mark 4.5, to get it moved and get it in a carport. And okay, you're like, okay, Naturejab, you are getting $100,000 and you're only spending 9,000 of it. What is going on? What is this? This sounds like some type of scam or something. Okay, that brings me to the next thing. Once Mark 4.5 is finished, some of this grant money will go into things like sending the stuff out for analysis, right, at a lab. Some of it will also go to getting maybe some old used cars to test my stuff in, diesel engines, gas engines, type of thing, whatever. And then the rest of the money will be spent on, drum roll, Mark 5. That is right, I am building Mark 5. I know you go on my GoFundMe, you see I say Mark 5 is going to cost $1 million. That was the Mark 5 I had in my head, which was going to be the size of like a school bus, a humongous machine compared to what I've built. But I've come to the realization it's better to start a little bit smaller. So Mark 5 is going to be around the same size as Mark 4.5, but it is going to be professionally built and manufactured. So I right now I'm assuming Mark 5 being the size of Mark 4.5 but professionally built manufactured will cost around $50,000 to $60,000. That includes everything. That includes professional microwave parts. No more microwave parts from the scrapyard. That includes professional metal. You know, the metal is going to be machined and welded and all that stuff. Outsourced, not me doing it anymore. It's going to be completely professionally built. That will be amazing for variables as well, because now we'll be like, okay, we're not using 6 magnetrons from 6 different microwave ovens in an environment they're not even supposed to be used in because they're not industrial magnetrons. Now we're using industrial magnetrons at 6 kilowatts of power going in. It's going to let me be way more scientific with it, like we're all about. Just like my friends at KOOBIIR with this chair are all about being scientific with it. So that's what I'm kind of about. Mark 5 is going to pretty much take up most of the grant money because, like I say, I told you it's going to be $60,000. I already told you, okay? I already told you that when you're building anything, you have a budget, you have a plan, and then there's always something you're not considering that you end up spending money on. So I'm excited to have the opportunity to build Mark 5. So I thank my friends over at 776 Foundation all the time, every day, for giving me this opportunity to do this, you know, and at the same time, keep ownership of my company, unlike the many other routes that I could have gone down to get similar funding. And I truly believe that through Mark 5, you know, Mark 5 will be built at this warehouse as well. It'll be, you know, open for investors or tours or whatever to people want to see. I think that from there it will truly take off and go on, and then, you know, we're going to have the lab analysis to back it. We'll be able to do third-party testing, third-party research as well. So it's going to be very good. Mark 5 is going to be very good, but that's pretty much what's been going on. I've been just sitting here waiting. Trust me, I have been itching so bad to get back into pyrolysis. I literally get anxiety just sitting here waiting to get things done, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to endanger my neighbors anymore. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to sit here and plan my things accordingly. But that's the first step. There's really nothing else I can do until I get the machine moved, right? But as soon as it's moved, I'm right back to work, going harder than ever, better than ever. Hey, let me tell you guys something, okay? I'll say it right now. This year, the rest of this year is going to be crazy, okay? 2024 is going to be the craziest time with this project ever. When I get stuff up and running again, you're going to see the stuff I'm going to do, the fuels I'm going to make, the collabs I'm going to do, the engines I'm going to put it in. It's going to be crazy. You know, there has to be this type of delay. This is like a movie. Life is ironic. There has to be a little delay. There has to be a little setback before you go absolutely bonkers like you never were before at a different crazy level. And that's what is happening right now. That's what the arc is right now. This is the arc where you're set back. You got to chill out for a little bit, and then you go crazier than ever before. So I'm just saying, mark my words on this video right now. Just wait, come back December and see what happens, because I'm telling you, as soon as this machine gets in the warehouse, we are off to the races. I promise you. I'm going crazy. I'm going working harder than I ever have before, and I already work like 60 hours a week on this machine. So I'm just saying, just wait. I got the fire, I got the passion, I got the rage to turn this plastic into fuel, and I can't wait to get my hands back in the game. So that's the goal, that's the thing. But most importantly, we got to stay safe with it. Okay, because I can be so excited, I can rush, but we have to stay safe, because otherwise I'm gonna end up in this exact position I'm in right now. So I will stay safe, I will not rush, I will be careful, I will wear my gear, I will operate and take advice from people who have been in the game. Okay, but I am more excited than ever to do this and come back and go crazy, go harder than ever. So thank you all for the opportunity. Thank you again, KOOBIIR, for the chair. Mark 4.5 will be complete. Mark 5 will start construction this year. Probably will be done sometime next year. We're going to do this. This is crazy. Appreciate you all. Naturejab out.